Welcome to Roots and Peaks. This morning, I'm attempting to solo hike Mount Isolation using the Rocky Branch Trail. It is January 29th. It's a little cold and the weather is going to be a little bit questionable. So I'm taking all the correct precautions, and if it doesn't work out, I'll just turn around. I'm also testing out some Virgin gear, base layer and a Virgin mid layer, and I'm using the the old adage, be bold, start cold. There is lots of room in this particular parking lot. I think you'll be fine finding parking, but then again, it is winter. I would imagine it fills up pretty quickly in the summer. I'm also testing out this cool thing that turns your Nalgene into a water bladder. And I have 2 Nalgenes today that I filled up with very hot water. We'll report back to see if it's good for winter use. In the White Mountains or anywhere there's snow, you have decisions to make. You can use snowshoes, you can use spikes, you can go bare boots. The trail is pretty packed. It's a little soft. If I break through or start to wreck the trail, throw the snowshoes on, but for right now it's easier to walk just with spikes and no snowshoes. It's January and quite cold, but still some of the water is open. I would imagine that in the summer this is a pretty simple stream crossing, but in the winter you've got sections that are partially frozen and areas where it's totally frozen, and then some rocks. So you've got to make some decisions. This, in my opinion, is probably the safest way across. You just get to here and then, step or hop across, but you got to be really careful with stream and water crossings in the winter. This is the first area where the trail splits. So the blue ones go that way and the yellow ones go that way. And this is the way that we're going up to Isolation. The thing that I like so far the most about the Highlander hoodie is that as someone who runs hot and sweats a lot, but still likes to hike in the cold, this keeps my body warm, but it allows all of that heat buildup to move off, so that I don't get super overly sweaty, and then the cycle turns into being freezing because that water gets really cold. So this is a great mid layer or even outer layer, depending on the weather, for those who run hot, but still need some warmth. That's my very short review. A good portion of this 13-mile trail is like this. There's relatively flat sections with some open water, but it makes for a faster hike than you'd think for a 13-mile up a 4,000 footer. And then there are some good steep sections too. It's pretty cool, but watch out for open water. We had a really crazy storm a little while ago where we got tons of wet snow, and it landed on the trees and then put a lot of weight on them. So there's probably a lot of trees down. There certainly is inland, but in the meantime, it's quite pretty. In the winter, I always hike with glove liners like this. These are merino wool ones from Decathlon. I wear them, and then when I stop for a break like this to look at that view, I usually put on mittens, but it's kind of a pain to dig through your bag or stuff them in your kangaroo pouch. So I just ordered some Torrid mittens from Enlightened Equipment, and I'm excited to see how those work because they have a flap on them. So I'd wear these underneath, then have the flap open, and we'll see how that works. I just used this after walking for maybe 45 minutes, and all the liquid that's in this insulated straw was quite cold. But then all the liquid that was in the Nalgene was still warm. So if you're going to use something like this in the winter, you have to be drinking probably every 15, 20, 30 minutes at the most. Otherwise, the liquid in this straw is going to freeze over. Beautiful sunrise, sort of under the overcast. Approaching the Presidential Range Dry River Wilderness. And we go that way. There's a little bit of snow coming down earlier than it was supposed to. So we'll see. I'm gonna keep an eye on it. If it gets too bad, we'll just turn around. No big deal. If you're coming in the winter, this is where the bushwhack is. So that is the normal trail, and this is the bushwhack. Nobody's going normal trail, and everybody's going bushwhack. So here we go. Doing a bushwhack in the summer is really difficult because you have to use your compass or GPS constantly. Doing one in the winter, especially when there's snow, you have a cool path and you just have to check every once in a while to make sure that someone didn't go off. But you don't have any marks, so it's easy to get lost if someone else got lost or whatever. You still have to be careful. On the top of isolation, and it is socked in. It just started snowing. Some really beautiful sights along this hike. I am sort of standing on a walkway that may be tricky in the summer, but right now it's awesome. It is snowing, but I'm on my way down, and my gear has held up really well. Both layers of Virgin and the bite valve and straw that hook onto the Nalgene bottle, I can't remember the name of, but I'll put it up somewhere on the screen, has been really good. You just have to be consistent and drink so that it doesn't freeze in that hose. Otherwise, this has been an awesome hike. I met my friend Mark on it, and so we had a good time. We had similar paces, which is always super important. And I may sign off at the bottom, but otherwise probably won't film too much more going down. This little sucker's sticking around all winter long. Didn't seem to get the memo. It's got some brothers too, sisters, siblings. I'm an equal opportunity labeler. It's snowing out quite a bit. I have on order a Patagonia R1 Tech Face hoodie that has some DWR on the outside, but a similar material on the inside. And I'm curious to see if that will work a little bit better if it's gonna rain or snow lightly. Normally in this case, I would have just thrown a shell on, but pretty close to the end of the hike. So I'm just gonna get a little wet. I've got new clothes in the truck, so it is what it is.